All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee and Cigars live stream, the Thursday Night Hang here on the Ono Live channel. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. We're back. It is July 3rd, and I decided let's go outside because we're at a location where there should be some nice fireworks happening a little later. So we got this location here. We're outside. The weather's fairly decent tonight. So actually, it's turned out to be a very pleasant evening. So hope you're doing well. How's it going? Where are you guys at? And what are you smoking? Let me know if you're out there and what you're having, what you're smoking, what you're drinking. Today, we're going to be talking about this cigar, the second in the series that we've done here, the Buffalo 10 Connecticut. And it's a box press Toro that we have. Mom's with us. What's going on, Mom? How are you doing, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And of course, all of you know that are most of you who are watching that are from the United States know that tomorrow is a big holiday here in the United States called 4th of July, and it's our Independence Day. It is the day when the United States was kind of ratified. So they signed the Declaration of Independence and kind of created the country on this day back in 1776. So well over 200 years ago, 200, almost 250 years or 249 years ago. So quite a while. And Rusty loves the backdrop. Yeah, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And happy anniversary to you there, Rusty. Rusty just celebrated his 20th anniversary with his wife, Amy, yesterday, right? Yesterday. And they were down in, I think, Virginia Beach having a nice time together. Finally, I think he said in his post that it's the first time in 5 years when they've actually been able to be together on their actual anniversary. So that's really great because the two of them are always very busy. You know, Amy's a world-renowned opera singer, so she's usually away, and Rusty's, of course, cooking and taking care of a lot of lecturing and stuff like that. So I guess sometimes they have a hard time with that. Merca says, no doubt, no doubt. Craig's here. What's going on, Craig? How are things up in Ottawa? How's the house coming along? And any racing happening lately? Ooh, Andrew's with us. Half a day, Andrew. Half a day to you, man. Good to see you. I'm feeling a little bit queasy. I just had some dinner before I came out here, and I feel a little bit odd. I was out the other night. Tuesday night, went out for a dinner, big dinner with a lot of friends, and just had a crazy meal. Awesome meal, but probably way too much because I was stuffed full. Like, you know how you eat and you eat way too much? You don't realize it at the moment, but afterwards, you're like, oh my God. Look, I cannot like move. I'm like all ill feeling. And then I just had incontinence every hour on the hour for like 15 hours. It was brutal. Yesterday was a brutal day. And so I pretty much was recovered. I pretty much was past all of that by last night. And I've done fairly well today. Although right now I feel a little bit like, a little bit churny. Rusty says tonight's beverage of choice is Imodium. I know we should totally do that. Totally. Yeah, Craig gives his regards. So does Mom. Tony's with us. What's going on, Tony, man? How are you? Good to see you. So what are you guys smoking tonight? Tonight we're going to be doing the Buffalo 10 Maduro. And this is a cigar that I picked up while I was in Connecticut, in Manchester, Connecticut, back in April. And I went to the cigar shop locally to the area, and this was like a $6 cigar. And the owner was like, "Yeah, give it a try. It's at a good price point." I was like, "All right." And we did the Maduro version of this box press Maduro Toro. We did that a few weeks ago, and that turned out to be very enjoyable. Very great price point. Really enjoyable for that price point. Really enjoyable for like a cigar just to pass the time and enjoy yourself. So I'm hoping that this Connecticut will do well as well today. This is the Connecticut Buffalo 10 Connecticut. I'm going to presume that it's not going to have as robust an experience just because it's not the Maduro, but I don't know. We're going to find out in a little bit. But tonight we're going to start off with our beverage for the evening. Our beverage is for the evening. It was not going to be Imodium because I know that Imodium was very much. Tony sends his congratulations for the 20th anniversary. Right on, right on. I was actually picking up this chair. Actually, you see I'm in this chair. This is a chair that let me show you this chair. I want to get out of this and show you the chair. I picked this up from a guy in Facebook Marketplace. You can see it's all kind of mucked up, right? But this style of chair is one that I've been kind of looking for quite a long time, or if not for a while. So my grandmother in the Philippines, when I was young, and we would go there, she had a chair that's similar to this, and it's what they call what in Filipino is called the silla, which means chair. And the big difference between this chair and those sillas was that instead of just having this rolled arm, there would be this arm that came out about 130 inches, about 4 feet on both arms. And what you would do is you'd sit in this chair, and it had the same kind of rake, and you'd sit there with these long arms, and you just basically put your foot up, and it would sit there, and it was kind of a lounger, relaxing kind of thing, plantation style chair for the heat. And unlike this particular version, the ones in the Philippines had woven backs, so the backs and bottom were woven, so you have a lot more airflow, a lot more, you know, cooling effect rather than this leather back. Now, evidently, the chair is technically called the butaka, and the butaka. So you know, to Mom Hotel, yeah, she wants to know. And the butaka is a chair that it's a style of chair that originally came from Spain. So you may be familiar that the Philippines was as a Spanish colony for 400 years, so they brought a lot of their stuff there. So the Spaniards brought this style of chair to the Philippines. They also brought it to Mexico, to their other colonies, as well as a lot of it came to the United States. And it was really popular as what's it called, butake, was what they call it in Louisiana, also very popular in Louisiana. But unlike the Philippines, they don't normally have the long arms. They're more shaped like this one. Actually, this was so popular during that time that Thomas Jefferson had one for at Monticello in Virginia. And this guy that I met, Bill Pavlak, who's a famous woodworker down in Colonial Williamsburg, actually, if you go to Monticello, you'll see a chair very similar to this. That's a reproduction of the chair that Thomas Jefferson had, and Monticello contracted Bill Pavlak to make it. So I was talking with Bill about this, and he had a photo when I was at the event in Manchester. And I was like, "What? Do you know much about this chair?" He's like, "Yeah, this is the Butaka, blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Okay." So I called my cousins in the Philippines, and I was like, "Hey, do any of you still have this chair that our grandmother used to have?" And no, they were like, "No, we don't know what happened to it." And I'm like, "This is like a monumental chair. Nobody knows what happens to it, right?" So I've been trying to, I've been looking online at images of different chairs, different versions of chairs, to like thinking about, okay, how would I build it? How would I figure it out? And I wanted to get this chair. I was planning on doing like I did with the first chair that I built, the musician's chair, where I just got the drawings or got the pictures of it and got one measurement and then just started to hypothesize off of that one measurement on how long the rest of it should be. So I was dimensioning the chair based on a picture and one measurement. So I was thinking, okay, I could probably do the same for this, but that watching some of the videos that I saw, or the one video, it looks very. It's a somewhat complicated build, I think. But I saw this on Facebook Marketplace for $30, and I was like, "What, $30?" And I was like, sometimes you want to haggle on Facebook Marketplace, but I was like, you know what, this guy's selling it $30 is not really a lot of money. Let me just buy this chair, and I'm going to use this as my model for building my own version of this. And so it's in good other than the fact that the leather is worn and has torn, not torn, but actually just kind of come apart at where it was sewn together. It's not really salvageable. It has gotten like dry rotted and it's kind of tight, so I don't think that's going to work. Maybe I'll replace it at some point, but really it's more meant that I could use it as a form to create a mold or create templates off of to build my own. And it's great because you get to see it in person and you can make measurements directly from the piece itself and then figure it out. So kind of interesting. Craig says that I've been to Monticello. Weird place to me. Yeah, it's. I went there when my nieces used to go to UVA, And so on one of my trips down there, I went to go visit Monticello, and I was really surprised at like how unsuccessful Thomas Jefferson was. Like financially, evidently, he was a total. They don't say this outright, but I mean, he's like a total financial wreck. Like it was, he had lots of passions and interests, but he didn't really make any money. I was like, I was surprised that he was able to keep this plantation going for so long, for his entire existence. But I thought it was strange, but also very interesting. Like he had a lot of interest and a lot of pursuits. So he was kind of fascinating in that way. At least I thought. At least I thought. Andrew says that this evening I'm checking out the Brick House Double Connecticut you featured recently paired with the Lagavulin Caribbean cast. Oh, nice, dude. So let me know how that turns out for you. I would have thought the Brick House would have been a lot more powerhouse, right? Man, I am feeling a little bit. I had some corned beef for dinner. Feeling a little bit churny at the moment. This is this is terrible. All right, let's go to our coffee of the day. So when I went to pick up this chair, the guy was down in Gambrills, Maryland, so south of the city, south of the airport. And I took my brother to go to the airport today, so that worked out really well. I just told the guys that, hey, how about if I meet you after we go to BWI? No problem. And let's meet at this place called David's Natural Market. So one of those like natural foods markets. And I'd never been there before. And I was walking around while waiting for the guy, and I was like, let me look for what kind of coffee they have. And they had this one coffee that I thought might be interesting. This is a company called Waiakea. And you might have heard about this company before. Waiakea sells water, and this is something they call the Hawaiian Volcanic Coffee, their premium latte and vanilla. And it says Hawaiian Volcanic. I thought it was cutesy. I think there's some marketing like stylings going on there. Like Waiakea is a company from the Big Island. And I've actually drank their water before. It's actually really good because it's very, I think for imported water from Hawaii, it is very reasonably priced. Like $4, $3 for the bigger bottles at the grocery store. So it's not terribly expensive, I don't think. But the Hawaiian water, it's volcanic islands, right? So it is basically water that rains down in the mountains, and it gets filtered through the volcanic soil and the volcanic rock or whatever into the aquifer somewhere beneath the earth, and then they pump it out. This is how we get, or at least in Hawaii, this is how we get tap water. It's just tap. Really, this is just tap water, right? In Hawaii, there's a company called Menehune Water, which is just like the local tap water, the local bottled water company, and that is the same thing as drinking water out of your tap in Honolulu, right? Menehune is based in Oahu. And when I lived on Oahu, it was just like you're just drinking tap water. And that's perfectly fine. So in the 90s, when the Fiji water started coming out, and I was looking at the packaging, and Fiji was always pricey. And they were like, yeah, it's aquifer water through volcanic rock. And it's like, sounds so exotic and so nice. And you're just like, well, that's just how it is in Fiji, right? There's a volcanic island. They don't have any other way to get They don't have any other way to get through that water, so that's how you get it. And so the Waiakea is the same. They're based in Hilo, I think, on the Big Island. So the water is just as good as Oahu, maybe a little bit different, maybe. It's been a while since I've never done a comparison, but still very nicely tasting. And so if you read their packaging, I included the links down below in case you wanted to see the links to either the cigar tonight or the coffee. And this is their vanilla latte, which I guess is, that's what everybody wants to make is vanilla lattes. And, it's Hawaiian volcanic coffee, which I guess is, true. The coffee's grown on the island of Kauai, and they're like, it's grown on Kauai, and the really only growers of coffee of any commercial value is Kauai Coffee, the big producer there, who is based out of Hanapepe, which is the main town. And I've toured Kauai Coffee because one of my old friends in the business Marty Amaro was one of their lead guys there. So one year I was out in Hawaii, and he was like, "Come up to Kauai, let's go. I'll show you around." So he showed me around. And Kauai coffee is really interesting in that it's very different than other coffee producers in the state of Hawaii. These guys started out with, I guess, old sugar fields or whatever, and these sugar fields are relatively flat. So most of the coffee production in much of the world is done by hand. In Brazil, though, they have certain plantations where they've actually kind of made it into commercial agriculture, where they've taken the trees and they planted them in rows on relatively level ground, well, pretty much level ground. And what they use in Brazil and in Kauai coffee is that they use these modified blueberry harvesters, and they're basically these huge machines that, they're kind of like big gantry cranes that roll down the row, and the trees are in the center, and they've got these like big plastic fingers that roll through the trees, and as it shakes off the ripe cherries that are looser than the green, and they fall into a bin and they get harvested like a harvester. So Kauai coffee can produce a lot of coffee for relatively cheap, whereas everybody else in the state of Hawaii is hand picking, right? They're sending farmers into more rockier terrains or just more slopey terrains, and they have to hand pick everything, which is always a very expensive proposition. And that's true whether they're in Nicaragua or in Uganda or especially in Hawaii, where the labor is much more expensive. So they talk about it being, if you look at their website, they'll talk about does it say here? Now they say it's called Polynesian vanilla. I don't know what that means. Does that mean that they're getting the coffee from Polynesia? Maybe there is a company called Slow Food Group that I would buy vanilla from, but they're mostly Madagascar and Tahitian vanilla. So I don't know if maybe they're getting the vanilla locally somewhere in the islands. There are a couple producers of vanilla in Hawaii, but I don't know. It doesn't really say if they're from there. And then it says here, so they got some stuff on the back here. Premium by nature. It says premium by nature, and premium by nature is Waiakea volcanic coffee is grown in Hawaii where rich volcanic soil combines with abundant mountain rain and tropical sunshine to give you the most delicious island-grown coffee in the world. Everybody says their coffee is so delicious. But it's from Kauai. On their website, they talk about it being from the slopes of Waialeale, right? And now to their credit, they do say the lower slopes. When you say the slopes of Waialeale, you're thinking like higher grown or higher elevations, closer to the summit, rather than way, way down by the seashore in Hanapepe, which technically is part of the Waialeale mountain, right? But it's a little bit. Let's see what they say here. Ingredients. Here's the ingredient list. 100% Arabica coffee and water, reduced fat milk, natural flavor, pectin, potassium phosphate, and salt. I'm guessing the phosphate is as a preservative. It does say shake gently before enjoying, so we're going to shake gently. Now it has some Hawaiian stuff here, which is a Hawaiian company, so I can't fault them for this. It says Malama Ika'aina, which means to take care of the land. 100% natural caffeine, the equivalent of 2 espresso shots. 67% less sugar than the leading flavored coffee drink. That's probably a positive thing. 100% recyclable can and patented smokeless roast process. I don't know how you can roast coffee without smoke, which gives it an 80% smaller energy footprint. All right, let's give it a try. We're going to open it up. This is their latte, vanilla latte style. Well, let's see what else we have. Speaking here. Rusty said this episode might end faster than the infamous. Well, we're not to that level. I mean, if I did have to run away it would just be for a few minutes, and we'd just let you enjoy the natural weather outside. Mom says it's $30 a case on Amazon. This was about $4 when I bought it at the store, so I don't think that's too bad. Like then again, I'm not really thinking too much about it. Craig's having the Partagas 898, the 15-year, or maybe it's 16 years now. Excellent. I remember you enjoying that last week. Tony's having Drew Estate, Undercrown 10 Toro, and a Diet Cherry Pepsi. Excellent, excellent. Craig says, got to finish off the box before the cigars are old enough. It's all right to leave them that old. I've got some cigars that are that old. Mom says the water. The water. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Oh, there you look back. Oh, the water is $38 a case. Gotcha, gotcha. All right, let's open it up. Not too much fuzzy. It has a weird flavor to it. And not very coffee like flavor. Like, oh, that's weird. I mean, I wonder if my taste buds are all like mucked up from my endeavor yesterday. But gosh, it's like you can taste the potassium. It's weird. Oh, did that help? Maybe that made it worse. My goodness. Well, I have been good all day with as far as, the movements, but I feel like I could be on the verge. All right, let's open up the cigar, the Buffalo 10. There it is, Buffalo 10. Looks nice. The wrapper looks good. Oh, yeah, you know what? I'll be back in a few minutes. Listen to the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra is playing in the distance, so you can hear them. So have a listen. And I'll be back in just a few moments. Whew. All right, all right. We are back again. Man, I don't know whether it was, I felt a little bit queasy after having the corned beef, but then, like, this drinking that Waiakea coffee, man, maybe it's that milk additive to it. Gosh, it really just made me like. And I had eaten what I have eaten today. This morning I got up and I went out, and before I started my deliveries, I had I had a breakfast sandwich from like the local like gas station. So that was terrible. I mean that's not good. Bacon, was it sausage, egg, and cheese on a biscuit? And then I had during this morning's live stream, I had like a chocolate chip cookie and a coffee. Then what I'd have for lunch? Oh, I had fried chicken for lunch. So I've had some pretty like oily foods for the first day after incontinence, but this just, I don't know, man. It's just, oh, goodness. Rusty says, had a CAO Pilon earlier and now a second glass of Michter's America. Oh, nice, dude. Nice. Where are you right now, Rusty? Are you still on the road? Looks like a nice, yeah, I think it's going to be a nice sunset here. It's the weather's really, really nice tonight, surprisingly so. Randy wants to know what's the venue. So for every 4th of July, the 3rd of July, typically, there's a place called Oregon Ridge Park. And that's what you hear in the background is Oregon Ridge Park. The Baltimore Symphony Orchestra gives a concert called the Star Spangled Spectacular, where they, have the 1812, it culminates in an 1812 overture with fireworks and stuff like that. So that should be right around 9:30. So that's why I was thinking, and so it's very unusual they don't do it on the 4th of July. They used to do it 4th of July. Actually, they used to do it quite often. They used to do it, several weekends before 4th of July. They used to do it on 4th of July and the night before 4th of July. They stopped doing that after COVID and now only do really the night before, which is tonight. And since it coincided with our show, I thought, well, you know what, this is a rare opportunity for us to have this chance to have some fireworks. So I thought we would do that. Rusty says, step away for a moment. What happened? Well, I drank the coffee, or I just basically I had to. Yeah, Tony says the bathroom was calling. Yeah, it was called. It was called. It wasn't calling, but it was demanding my visit. Actually, it's good that I left at the moment that I did. Had I decided to like tough it out a little bit longer and wait, could have been a little bit more trouble. That's the one thing about being a guy is difficult because you try to like tough it out. Like I remember in 2009, I nearly drowned. I was in Florida visiting a friend of mine because he had a coffee shop down there. So we were down there, and he's a foodie. I like food, and he was like, "Hey man, you interested in doing some scalloping?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "We can go get a boat and get some bay scallops." I was like, "Yeah man, let's go for it. Let's go. Let's go out." So we went out to the Gulf of Mexico, and we rented a boat, and there's a few of us right in the group, and we went out. We jumped off off the boat. We anchored the boat, jumped into the water. We're only like maybe 200 yards from the shore. Like we're really close, and it's pretty shallow. Like it's probably I'm 5'8". It was probably 6'5" in depth, maybe 7 in depth at the most. If I extended my fins all the way down, I could brush my scuba fins. If I could brush the bottom, and perhaps if it when the swells were when a trough, then I could probably touch the bottom more. And we're doing fine. We're looking for scallops, and I'm looking for scallops, and suddenly a squall rolls in. Like it's beautiful weather, like perfectly clear weather, and suddenly here comes this squall, and it gets choppy, and I'm thinking, okay, the squall's coming, so let me go back to the boat. The boat is probably 100 yards away. I start swimming to the boat. I'm using fins, right? I got my snorkel on, I got my fins. I'm just trying to get back to the boat. I can't get back to this boat. This boat never gets closer. I am starting. And after 15 minutes, I'm starting to get tired. Well, who knows? Maybe it was only 2 minutes. But whatever it was, I was getting tired. I was like, oh my gosh, man, I'm getting tired. And then the squall rolls in. And I remember there was this dude, one of the young guys was like swimming back to the boat. And he was like, hey, man, you all right? He saw I was in a little bit of trouble. He's like, hey, man, you all right? And I was like, I was right about to be like, yeah, man, I'm good. And then I realized at that moment that I'm only saying that I would only say that, yeah, man, I'm good only because I feel like that's what I should say, not because I'm not in distress, because I definitely was. I was definitely fatigued. I'm definitely like losing it. And I was like, no, man. And I decided I've got to swallow my pride or I'm going to drown right now. And I swallowed my pride. And then he came over, he helped me out and like, kind of hung out with me as the squall passed. And what happened was is that the boat, we while we had anchored it, we didn't anchor it properly. So the anchor dragged and was dragging down the shore. So as I'm swimming towards the boat is still here, and and I'm just swimming with the current, which is why I'm not getting anywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't swim faster than the current. So I'm like, it's one of those things. Had I been stubborn like a guy would have been like, yeah, man, I'm good. I wouldn't be here today. Would not have been here today. Andrew says, fireflies coming out in force on my porch. Awesome. They've returned this year after seems. Oh, really? There tends to be fireflies around here this time. And I think they die out like around July, like mid to late July. They don't really, I don't know if that's true or not. Do they last a long time where you are? Because I feel like they never last to August. Oh, yeah, close to the facility. Rusty says we're back in New Jersey. Amy leaves for Europe on Saturday, and I leave for Spain. Oh, Spain, España. That's nice, man. España should be nice. Where in Europe is Amy off to? All right, let's have a look. We left off with our cigar. This is the Buffalo 10, and it's actually really nice. Like it looks like a nice cigar. Like the wrapper is very nice and smooth and no veins and just very pleasant. Like, this is a $6 cigar. How is this even possible? I don't know. All right, let me make some notes here on our cigar of the evening. Very light on the wrapper. So I did bring some of the old school accoutrement. I got my Cigar scissor cutters, the old 11-year-old scissor cutters. So I'm just going to cut that off right here. Still cuts nice. Wow, I'm surprised. I felt like it hadn't cut very well in a while. And then I busted out my old Saints and Sinners lighter, the 5-year anniversary of Saints and Sinners. So it's quite a bit old now. Mm. Cold draw is smooth and easy. A little bit of sweetness on the tongue. A little bit of bits of tobacco. I don't know if that's because is there short fill in this thing? I don't know. But cool. Actually, not terribly much in the terms of fragrance. So I'm gonna say low fragrance, cold draw, sweetness, sweetness and easy sweetness and easy draw. So I'm gonna say 7.5. Now time to light. Bulgaria and Italy from nice, nice. All right, time to light this sucker. I'm starting to feel a little bit crunchy. So where in Spain are you going? Right, nicely lit. Oh, nuts, you fucking asshole. Just slide it over. Rusty says, land in Madrid, then Toledo, Seville, and the Costa del Sol for 7 days. Nice, dude. It's awesome. I've only been to Madrid and only for very briefly. I've actually only been to Spain once. And one time that I went there to go do a dinner in a place called just outside of Leon. When Leon is about 3 hours outside of Madrid, going through the part of Spain where they shot all the spaghetti westerns. So as you're driving out there, you're like, wow, this is like very Western looking. So I went to a place called Bodega El Capricho. And man, it was like the steak dinner to end all steak dinners. Like it was epic. Like if you have the means, I highly recommend it. All right, so starting off, actually nice. It's not terribly heavy, but it's got a nice flavor to the burn. Easy draw, easy draw, good smoke production. Like the first few puffs are very enjoyable. Andrew says there have been quite a few reports of anti-tourist demonstrations in Spain, particularly in Barcelona. I've heard of that, and that's a good question, Rusty. Like, how do they say about your locales as far as anti-tourist sentiment, and how do people what have they done any kind of training or preparation in particular for that kind of welcoming? I think one of the difficult parts is that a lot of people that travel don't necessarily have any concept of the local customs or how to act according to the local customs, right? That's always a challenge. There's a little bit of spiciness to it. Like you think this is going to be light, but I'd say it's got a good weightiness to the smoke. Light, spicy. Actually, really quite nice. Like this is $6. Like let's presume it continues this way for the rest of the cigar, much like the Maduro version did. This would be a worthwhile cigar to buy. And I'm tempted to say, as the filler smoke, but really, this could be your daily driver. And I don't think, at least right now, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Now, it's only my first of the Connecticut's, so who knows? I remember when I first tried the Maduro version of the factory smokes from Drew Estate. They were $3 at the time. I thought that was a great value. I found myself very enthusiastic about it, but after I smoked five of them, I was like, man, I've had enough. It just kind of wore on you. The flavor just didn't. It just got stale. So some of my friends, you could so since this is a park, they close the park, right? And it's a ticketed event, so you have to buy tickets and you have to go and do all this. But one of my friends who lives up higher on the mountain, he hikes in. He hikes in, sits on like the slope. There's some old ski slopes here. At one point in time, they tried to make Oregon Ridge into a ski slope place for recreation, but we just don't get enough snow here in Baltimore County, so that did not work out very well. But the slopes are still there, and so he just kind of comes. He hikes in from back in the backwoods, and then just kind of comes down and like with his kids, and they watch the fireworks and listen to the music. I haven't actually gone to the event since I was young. I'm gonna plug in the phone just to make sure we don't run out of power. I think I mentioned this last week, but this is a great deal. If you're looking for like a power bank, cheap power bank, this thing from Skill at Lowe's this week is $30. Like you don't even have to buy a tool for it. You just can charge it like this, and it's got a cover so you can protect the connectors. And I've been using this strictly for my phone. I haven't used this on the drill at all. So what are you guys planning for the 4th of July? Anything interesting? I was supposed to go to a friend's house, and then he was like, but he then I thought it would be in the afternoon, like early afternoon. I was like, okay, good, I can do that. Then he messaged everyone. He's like, it's not till 5 o'clock. I was like, 5 o'clock. Oh my gosh, man! And it's all the way down in Annapolis. I was like, ugh, which is about an hour drive for me. So I was like, oh, I can't make it. I can't go. I can't go. I'm okay to stay home and make chairs. Rusty's asking, will there be fireworks tonight? Should be right here. Now, where we are, the tree, we're far enough away, and the tree line here is old enough and big enough that the early part of the fireworks display, you don't really see too much. Like it's obscured. But the later, when they start to build the crescendo and go higher and higher, then you really start to see it. So I figured it'd be kind of epic. Rusty's going to watch the Nathan's hot dog. Oh, that's right. What's the record now? Is it 21? Is that right? And how long do they take? Brian's with us. What's going on, Brian, man? How are you doing? Happy 4th of July. I was totally laid out yesterday. Tap that cigar. Maybe we'll have to get laid. I'm reticent to drink more of this coffee because I don't know how it's going to react. Like, was that going to kick off more emergency departures? So while I was inside, I did grab the Diet Coke. You know, that's a good piece of advice. If you ever have those days when you're in the need of when you're in the heavy need of Pepto Bismol, Coca-Cola is actually a really great um, thing because especially like regular Coke, because you've got sugars that helps replace your sugars. You get a little bit of hydration, a little bit of that fizz kind of helps a little bit. I actually had a regular Coke this morning. Flavor is very different. It's interesting. In the times when I would like, in years past, when I was mainly a Diet Coke drinker and I went back to Coke, it tasted weird. After a while, of course, it tastes normal and you're like, oh, Coke's the way to go. And then you go back to Diet Coke because, you can't drink too much Coke. It's too much sugar. But I wonder, like, we had two epic meals on Tuesday. So partially overeating, but also I think it's maybe just too much fatty foods, man. It was so fatty foods, like so terrible. Good, but terrible. In the evening, we went to a place called La Food Marqueta, which is a place in Pikesville, Maryland. A friend of mine owns a restaurant, and they had this blackberry pomegranate margarita. I housed most of that pitcher. It's like not a good thing. Not a good thing. Rusty says Joey Chestnut has the record for 83 hot dogs in 10. My God, man. How, how do these people feel after they eat like that? Like Joey Chestnut, he eats this 83 in 10 minutes. Like, how does he feel? Like, I was thinking about how I felt Tuesday night, and I was so unhappy. Like, I was full, and like, you can't do anything. And then later you get gas and you have to burp, and you're like, every burp is like a release, but it doesn't last long. Man, like I would sleep in 40-minute segments. Like I would have to run and relieve myself, go back to bed. 40 minutes later, got to get up again. And man, it was just brutal, just brutal. Like, I've been a fat guy all my life, but I can never see winning eating contests as being worth it. But I just wonder how do they manage 83 hot dogs? Like maybe at the most I want to do is like two small hot dogs. And then after all that sodium and all that preservatives, enough, man. I don't want any all that curing salt, forget it. But really, I guess I'm not really a fan of hot dogs. Oh, which reminds me, I was listening to a podcast this morning. One of the hosts was like, I don't like peanut butter. I was like, I don't like peanut butter. How is this possible? How many of you do not like peanut butter? Let me know in the comments. Who doesn't like peanut butter here? And why is that? But I gotta say, this cigar, nice flavor. It's relatively mild. Not mild, but like it's got a light spiciness. It's kind of interesting. It's burning well, right? Look at the burn. Like it's a little bit uneven, but man, it is. Like, okay, this is my first time smoking this, so I don't know what it would be like over an extended period of time. But like, I think about, I'll compare this to what I normally smoke. Of course, it's Roma Craft a lot. The Revenge, and most recently the Castillito Murcia of the La Maestranza. Those are heavy, right? Those are heavy, robust cigars. This is not like that. This is a lot more approachable, milder, less in your face, but not disappointing. Right? Like it's still got nice flavor. And the one thing about this light that I wish I could do was turn it down remotely. I think we're reaching the threshold where it's too hot. Okay, this might be better. Is that too? That's too orange, isn't it? Okay, too orange. All right, this may be a little better. All right, we're at 40. We're at 4,000 Kelvin, which is, I think, a little bit better. Rusty says, here's a poll question. What goes on a hot dog? Oh, yeah, what does go on a hot dog? From the router to the tutor. Craig says, I mix peanut butter in my rice. Whoa, whoa, I've never done that. That's totally revolutionary. I've never even heard of that. Now, is the rice hot or is the rice cold? And what do you eat that with? Like, is it just peanut butter and rice? Andrew said mustard and onions, never ketchup or just sauerkraut. I like that. I like that. I used to eat hot dogs only with ketchup when I was a child, but somewhere along the way I switched over to mustard. I don't know what it is. Maybe as I got away from the sweet tooth. Tony says, "Sorry, Rusty. I thought you said in not on cheddar cheese, onions, barbecue sauce, or onions, mustard, and relish." Ah, okay. Brian says hot dog with peanut butter and jam. I like. I've never had that. I like burgers with peanut butter. I like bacon burgers, no cheese, bacon hamburger with bacon, peanut butter, and jelly. Oh, that is good eating, my friends. Good eating. I guess the symphony must be on break because it's all quiet. But nice looking sunset back there, huh? Craig says peanut butter, some yogurt, sriracha, and some chicken. Oh, wow. Well, I guess that makes sense. I mean, it's very, especially with the chicken, kind of, it gives you that kind of Thai-ish kind of flavor with the satay sauce, right? That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm surprised. When I noticed George Shem is missing, isn't he like at the beach? Is that right? I wonder if you could smoke at the beach. Like if my family still had a condo there, I wonder if I could smoke at the condo. Rusty says, "Do you know the program that the symphony is playing?" I don't know exactly what they play. They normally finish with the 1812 overture, right, for the fireworks, but I think they play a lot of like American classics, like for America, hype people up. Uh, if you were to go to like Oregon Ridge website or maybe the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra's website, they might have the program listing there. I just don't know it offhand. I never really think too much about it. I just kind of like because you can kind of hear it, but it's not like the other day when we were at Meriwether Post Pavilion across the street from there. That was very loud. Like we could sit there across the street from Meriwether and listen to the music and still, enjoy the music. It's quite a bit further away, so it's not as the music's not as pronounced. Tony says, "Stupid Siri, The in a hot dog is from the rooter to the footer to the tutor for pork. Oh, gotcha. Brian says they're doing the Bugs Bunny symphony. Are you serious? I don't even know what that means. Is that that's really how I learned about music and opera was from Bugs Bunny. Like I love the Bugs Bunny opera stuff. And it turns out that I loved opera before I even knew what opera was or that it was even operatic. And I was like, oh, I wish I could see more opera. I've always wanted to see La Boheme at the Met. I've always been lazy, though, to make the effort to go to the Met. Like, there was a time in my life when New York was like so important to go there and hang out that we would be there like almost weekly. Now, man, I never want to go. I'm like I've had events to go to there, and I always like, do I want to go? Because now it's so expensive. Like now it's really expensive, right? Like if you were to buy, like back in the old days, you could buy like a ticket to New York City on the Amtrak from Baltimore for like $40. Ain't that bad. Now it's like hundreds, or if you drive, it costs like 60, 70, $80 just in tolls, plus gas, and then parking. Parking's like $70 and up a day. You're like, oh my God. And I got a place to stay. That's the crazy thing. It's like I got a place to stay and crash out right in the heart of Manhattan. I still like I'm like, oh no, dude, I just don't want to go anymore. I'm like, it's terrible. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. Rusty said you should check out the Met in HD played in movie theaters. Comfy chair, popcorn, Diet Coke, and endless camera. I like. I mean, I've heard of that, but you know what? Honestly, it's like, and I used to buy the laser discs. But to me, no matter how nice the theater is, like the sound reproduction system is in a theater, there's nothing like seeing it live, being sung for you at the moment in a live theater. Like that to me is like, I'm sure that if I went to Cinemark and watched a presentation, that'd be wonderful, no doubt. But it's why I don't watch like sporting games, like baseball, football. Like I really don't know. I'm not really that interested in watching them on television. I'd rather, if I was to go at all, I'd rather go to the game and watch the game. Because even though you don't get to see the details like you see on television, you're there, man. It's like it's happening in front of you. You can drift off for a moment and miss exciting moments. You're like, so I don't know. I just feel like it's much more engaging to be in person than. So I just never have a very like committed urge to go see them. You know what I mean? Tony says George leaves for the beach on oh man, on the 19th. Gosh, that's terrible. So he won't be able to join us. That's a shame, man. That's a shame. It is quiet. I guess they must be taking a break. One of my friends is first chair trumpet for the BSO. Yeah, he won't be able to join us. That's too bad. That's too bad. We'll miss you there, George. Yeah, it's cool tonight. Like it's been really hot this last couple weeks, but today turned out to be nice and cool. I was trying to work on my chair. I got a new chair I'm working on. So I was trying to mill the pieces the last couple of days. Did some of the rough cutting yesterday, did a bit of the milling. Actually, I think I finished all the milling yesterday to surface all the sides. And I did some of the cutouts today. But man, like I was definitely feeling like tired and fatigued yesterday. I was like, man, I need to like stop using power tools. It's like, Rusty wants to know what's on the program for the itinerary for the 250th. We're gonna do it at I think we're gonna do it at Capitol. That makes it a little bit easier. We got the cooking pit and all that, and I think that'll be a little bit more convenient for everyone. And we can use the griddle. We'll have some swag, so it should be kind of fun. Should be fun. Should be fun. I should like it. Rusty says I fly home on the 15th. Quick turnaround, and most likely drive down Friday. Planning on touring Sagamore that afternoon before staying in Bethesda. Drive home, so nice. Is Sagamore popular where you are, Rusty? I'm presuming it is. Like Sagamore Farms or Sagamore Distillery, because it's here. Like you hear a lot about it, and like I'm just never sure how well received it is outside of the area. Like I know that the owner who owns Under Armour, that's very huge. But I just wonder, like, is Sagamore also very well respected? Oh, what? Mom wants to know what time. I'm going to have to confer more with George Brightman on that. George has been recovering from his surgery, so we haven't really had the opportunity to talk to him too much about it. So once maybe this week, I'll get in touch with him. We'll hammer out the details. So he'll be ready by next week. Oh, here they come back. Yeah, I would say like early afternoon. I think maybe a nice time. Hopefully, we'll still have good weather. Here we go. Can you hear this? Most stores up here carry it. I have a soft spot for raw. Nice, nice. One thing I'm surprised with this area that we haven't seen a lot of fireworks yet. From a lot of times people in the area will shoot off fireworks, but we haven't seen any of that. Oh, you know what? I haven't done. I have not been grading. I'm going to say it's very good flavor wise. Body's a little lighter, but also very good. 8. Craig says he's on to cigar number 2, I think. So what's cigar number 2 going to be? Actually, it doesn't sound too bad. I mean, it's relatively clear tonight. Tony says, Rusty, have you had the Hemingway Rye yet? Aged in Pillar's rum casks. Ooh. There's somebody starting to shoot something. Can't really see them from here, though. Ooh. Andrew's asking, what are the components of the Buffalo Trace that you're smoking? Are you me? This the Buffalo 10, not Buffalo Trace. The component. You know what? I did not get to look up the website before I was able to start today. Connecticut wrapper and made. I think it's somehow produced by Two Guys Cigars. You know, Dave Garofalo and them. Because it's really where they have the main. Like it seems like most of the information about the cigar are on twoguyscigars.com. But usually when I'm telling you about all the information on the cigars, because I've got the laptop in front of me and I have the website open. I didn't bring the laptop out tonight just because I don't necessarily have like a place to put it. But so far, really enjoyable. And actually, I think, you know, it's not the greatest, but I think it's very, very enjoyable. And I think that for the second, third, I'm going to give double eights. We are getting through pretty fast, though. This chair, though, I got to say, is fairly comfortable. Somebody's letting up a brick. Oh, George is with us. What's going on, George? How are you, man? Good to see you. Good evening, all. Lighting up the Perdomo Legacy. Are you home or are you out somewhere in the world? But I do have a link, Andrew, to the page for this cigar on the description down below if you look it up. I just don't know all the details offhand. Took the band off. I just got home, man. That's nice. It's nice to like be on summer break, just kind of do your thing. Don't have to be home. Don't feel like having to be home because you're not exhausted. from all the kids. And Craig is having the Los Statos Deluxe Delirios Cuban machine made from 1999. Oh man, 26 years, man, 26 years. That's beyond your normal epic levels. George says, totally agree. It's great. I know Rusty's been like gallivanting around the country this week now that he's out of school. So we hear that you're headed to the beach on the 19th of July, which means that you'll not be able to join us. Is that correct? On the 19th? It's all right. We understand. George says, yes, sadly, that's correct. That's all right, my friend. That's all right. We will miss you. We will miss you. We were thinking about you. The interesting thing about being outside is that you always get these like, there's moments like all night long, we've had fairly good airflow, so it's kind of blown away. These last few puffs has kind of lingered a little bit more because it's kind of crossing now across this way. Now it's picked up again, so it's blowing away, which is good. I really prefer the smoke to blow away from me. Brian says, regards to George. What's up, man? What's up? Whoops. We will have a toast for you. We will have a toast. And we'll have some Sagamore. George, are you a Sagamore rye fan? Or are you just more of a vodka martini kind of guy? I was thinking about having a different beverage tonight. I was actually thinking about having what I used to drink a lot on Fourth of July was a little concoction that I kind of came up with when we were doing paella parties. So I would make this huge, like 64-ounce cup of it and just be sipping it all day long and just add to it. And basically, it's like the most pedestrian drink I could probably think of. But I just love the flavor combination of it. If you want to give it a try, I think it's worth it. I would only buy it once a year at this time. I'd buy the smallest can of Lipton instant tea, make up the Lipton tea with ice, and then pour in a bunch of the Captain Morgan spice rum. And man, I just love drinking that. I might have to make some tomorrow. And I don't know if you use my proclivities to get brewed tea, make your own tea, special teas, right? But I don't know. Just that cheap orange pico from Lipton with a lot of sugar just was so perfect with that. I don't think it's one of those drinks that should be elevated. Right? Like you get the nice rum and you could like spice your own rum, but why? Just get the Captain Morgan. At least that's my thinking on that. Rusty wants to know, Brian, are you going to be at the 250th? I think he is. I think he is. George says Sagamore is alcohol, so I'm a fan. Not my favorite, but I won't turn away. Nice, nice. All right, very good, very good. Rusty's coming down the day before. He's going to stop by Sagamore and have a tour. Brian says he'll definitely be there. All right, awesome, awesome. Here's some kind of grumbling. I don't know what that is. I think they normally shoot off right around 9:30. Can you actually hear the music? Evidently, there's a new conductor here that's supposed to be young and like very energetic. I don't know much about the conductor though. Andrew says sometimes simple ingredients make a perfect base for things. Jean Louis would use 32-ounce cans of tomato juice as a base for his sauce for the lobster ravioli. Oof, was great. That sounds lovely. That sounds lovely. But was he using something as pedestrian as Lipton's in the tomato world? Like I know a lot of chefs that will do like very, very fancy presentations and very high-end ingredients. But when it comes time for everyone to be hanging out on their own, it's always like very simple foods, very like not too elevated of anything. Like the elevation comes like sometimes they'll just use ingredients in the restaurant, and that's where the elevation comes. But otherwise, it's very normal type of foods. Last year when I was out here doing the live stream, it seemed like, especially early in the summer, like every time I was out here, I get ticks. So I'm wondering if I'm going to get ticks tonight. It's the first one we've done all year out here, so I don't know. I see now our lighting is kind of moody. When Andrew's talking about it, that years ago he used to work for Jean-Louis Paladin at the Watergate in Washington, D.C. And at the time, and still today, I mean, he's still very incredibly regarded. But Jean-Louis Paladin was probably the best chef in America for many, many years. And attained fame early on, French style cooking. I never got to eat there. I mean, I was still way very young when by the time at his heyday, so I was not eating at fine dining. My fine dining was Sir Walter Raleigh at the Hunt Valley Mall. I think I took my date for junior prom there. That was like the height of like fine dining. That and Chi-Chi's Mexican. Although I did go to Hausner's. Hausner's here in Baltimore was this old German restaurant in Highlandtown where they had like priceless oil paintings, Renaissance oil paintings lining the walls. A really amazing restaurant, but very old school. But I've eaten there a couple times with my parents, of course. And then there was this one restaurant in Dundalk we would go to. And I don't know how fancy it was, but they would serve lobster tails with crab imperial on top of it. Man, I love that. Like that was like the greatest food I'd ever eaten at that point. I wish I could go back and like find that kind of dish again. Lobster tail with crab imperial. That would be pretty epic. When I was older, when I got to be in college, my friends and I would go to a place in Hawaii called the Black Orchid. It was a restaurant that was owned by Larry Minetti and Tom Selleck. I think they were both partners in it. So Tom and Larry owned the restaurant, and Roger Mosley, TC, owned a club called Reni's in Pearl City. So I used to go to Reni's on like Saturday nights, and then we go eat sometimes at the Black Orchid. And back then, we were very, very young. And you're young, you're pretentious, you don't know anything. So like the hallmark for me was like, how often do they refill the water? And Black Orchid always kept the water up. So it was always like, this is the greatest service. This is the hallmark of service, is how they keep the water. Rusty says, Andrew, Jean Louis? Yes, yes, Jean. That's Jean Louis. Andrew says, there's a good poll question. Where did you go for your senior prom dinner? Ooh, yeah, yeah. So let me know. Where did you go for your senior prom dinners? I don't remember where I went for senior prom. I took this girl, Alicia Saunders. She was redheaded. Man, I love that girl. She was so amazing. Artistic kind of girl. I don't remember where I went though. Oh, now it's getting loud. But for my junior prom, we went to Sir Walter Raleigh. Sadly, Alicia passed away a couple of years ago. Turns out, I found out she had cancer, and she passed away. I was like, oh man, very sad. Like maybe a year or two ago. Yeah, it's awesome. It is awesome. So when we have dinners at Andrew's house, you can see that influence in the food. It's always very refined, very well done, very well rounded. Oops. And as Andrew says, oui, chef, oui, chef. You guys know what song this is? I'm not familiar with this one. Rusty said John Louis, used to come up to New Jersey for an annual game dinner with my old boss. Whoa, that's amazing. So I presume you got to dine with him? That'd be amazing. Oh, I see. Rusty said, sadly, he passed before I started working. Ah, that's too bad. That's too bad. Oh, Star Wars. That makes sense. Star Wars is part of classic American music. That's got to be a crowd pleaser. Damn, they do sound good tonight. I really do hope it's coming through. Oh, Andrew says sound coming through really well too. Great, great. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Nice. Oh, I guess I'm gonna start the fireworks here. 1812 overture time. I think it starts off fairly quiet. They really should bump it up more. Andrew says fireworks start when cannons go off. Ooh. I don't know if we bring cannons to the show though. I mean, that could be. I don't know. I don't know. I've never been there, so. It's time to bust in the beverage. There are some people around the area, but not here with me. America. All right, there it is. So this is what we do in America on the 4th of July, or at least the night before the 4th of July. A little bit of 1812 Overture and some fireworks. Whew. I think that maybe it's about about half a mile away from the actual place where they're shooting the fireworks off. And depending on the time of year, or depending on the year, sometimes I guess there's like more cloud cover or maybe more environmental obscurity. So like tonight was very loud. Like I was surprised how loud it was tonight here, but there it is. There it is. So finished the cigar during the fireworks. Got to the point where it was just too far down for me to actually to hold on to it anymore. But I'd say that throughout the cigar, I would say it's very good. So we gave eights for both flavor and the body. So just very good. And so that would be, and it was very consistent though, very enjoyable through the entire cigar. I mean, and at $6, man, it's a heck of a value. I didn't lose any interest. Sometimes you get cigars and they get a little bit like you get a little bit fatigued, you get a little bit bored with it. But this one kept a nice pace through the entire smoke. Construction is excellent. The burn and draw was excellent throughout. Consistency, excellent. I mean, so many nice things happening. Not the most robust in flavor, but really nice. Very excellent as far as consistency and a lot of the things, but very good for flavor and body. Now, we have reached a point where I really can't see anymore. So even though it may look like you can see it here, I can't see it at all. Like if I'm writing down, like, so I'm going to have to do the calculation separately because I don't have another, maybe I can see with the, no, my, unfortunately, this 5 millimeter, this 0.5 millimeter pencil is too fine for me to see in the low light that we have here. All right, well, that's going to be it for this week here on the Thursday Night Hang on this Coffee and Cigars live stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. Glad to have you with me. Happy 4th of July to all of you, even though you might be not in the United States. It's still the 4th of July. We still wish everyone happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. Maybe the last one we have in America, but at least we have it. So hope you have a wonderful week out there. Be back again next week, Thursday, with another episode of the Coffee and Cigars live stream. And don't forget the 19th. I think we're going to definitely do it at Capital Cigar on the 19th, probably early afternoons, maybe 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. I'll have more information as we get closer, but definitely going to happen that weekend. So hope you have a wonderful week out there. Tony, good night to see you. Mom and everybody, George, Rusty, Brian, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful week out there, and see you next time.